Good morning! We are going to study the three main levels of verbal self-defense and more specifically the three kind of situations, escalating from the least damaging one to the most problematic and dangerous one, and see what kind of individuals are likely to trigger the need to defend yourself. The first one, level 1, is in the context of a mild disagreement. So it may not be highly confrontational or highly negative yet, but there is still some uncomfortable feelings to be processed in that situation. That happens quite commonly to people who tend to let themselves be walked over all the time at their job, maybe in their family, maybe in their group of friends. They are always the person we make jokes about. And at some point, even if the person appears like, yeah, it's fine, laugh at me, that person may still build up the anger inside. If that is not being treated early enough, that may escalate into some more difficult situation to handle. So specifically when people have trouble to hold the ground, to hold the frame in any interaction and always tend to get back into the passive, almost like submissive mode whenever they get in front of somebody who appears to be more confident, at least a little bit. The problem is to build up more self-esteem, and that can sometimes be done only through clarification. If you ask yourself, what do I stand for? What is it that I want people to say about me? Because if you have never clarified that yourself, then how are people supposed to know how they should treat you? If you don't know yourself how you want to be treated, if you haven't clarified with at least 5 sentences, because sometimes when I tell people write down a goal, they write down like 3 words. And the problem of clarification is to write with at least think with more than 3 words. It is about clarifying, specifying how do you want others to treat you? What is your outcome with them? If you don't like the way people interact with you when they kind of degrade your self-esteem, what else do you want instead? How do you want them to react? How do you want them to respond? If you want them to respect you more, what does that mean? What does respect look like? What does respect sound like? What does respect feel like from the inside for them and from you? Can you clarify all of that? What do you stand for in life? Why do you stand for that? And how much do you know yourself? If you don't know anything about yourself and about what you like, about what you don't like, then anyone can impose their opinions and their points of views on you. So this level is getting solved in many cases through basic education. Educating yourself on yourself, first of all, educating yourself on the topics you regularly talk about and maybe the topics on which you get confronted, you kind of get like lowered in the argument because people don't really let you speak. Educate yourself on those topics, at least enough to hold the ground and not letting yourself or avoid letting yourself be walked over by any idiot who just think they are more important than you. At some point you may also need to push back a little bit to show that, hey, you are a human being, you have the right to be respected in the same way you respect them. That is in your duty to accomplish such a result, if people don't want to allocate that right to you. And in terms of language patterns, we might simply use the basic pacing and leading. I acknowledge you are right about this and that, and my perspective is that and this, which is different than yours. I don't try to impose my views on you, therefore I don't tolerate you want to impose your views on me. As simple as that. If you respect and acknowledge first something that you know is true about them, or something they like to be said about them, and you say, of course I see you are a very confident person, I can see you are somebody who thinks for themselves, and what I would like to add to this is that my perspective is different than yours on this topic, on that topic. This is my point of view, I want you to respect my point of view. Just clarifying it sometimes will be enough. If you're just at level 1, mild disagreement, that won't be enough for the next levels. But in the beginning, if it is just about people kind of pushing you, poking you, like because they like to trigger you in a joking way, clarifying, you don't like that, fine. How do you want to be treated instead? Instead of this behavior, what else do you want to see from them that will make them respect you more? That is level 1, and that is pretty easy to solve. Now that gets trickier when we get into level 2. Level 2, which is the most common and the broadest one when we talk about manipulative tactics, how to defend against those, it will be the narcissist. Our dear friend the narcissist, people who are not just disagreeing with you, they are people who literally want to degrade you and really put you in the back and put you down just to gain some value from you suffering. And that value they are getting out of you may be very counterintuitive. If it is a narcissist in the context of a relationship of love, if a narcissist is trying to keep the other person with him or with her, that may be because they crave the attention that their victim is giving to them, and that person who is in that situation, the victim, might not be aware at all that they are providing such a level of attention. They might not even realize it. But what a narcissist will do is try to get, by every means possible, a victim somewhere to get what he or she can't achieve by themselves. So whatever the narcissist tries to get out of you, they will try to get it by playing on your weaknesses. They will try to get something out of you at your own cost. It's not like a compromise where in a healthier relationship, some things you don't like about your partner, but some things they don't like about you either. So in the end, it's like a compromise. In a narcissistic, codependent relationship, it is plainly about you giving all the time and the narcissist not giving anything, or like very tiny burst of something just to keep you hooked, but never really giving you love, the love you want or anything. So the narcissist will try to degrade the self-esteem pretty often of the person they are interacting with, maybe pushing their hot buttons to show them how superior they are, because they can remain cold and calculated while you are like a little child, so you are immature and they are above you. Whenever there is this kind of meta-frame perspective of everything you do is shit, everything I do is better, that is definitely a narcissistic bind somehow, and those are things to be aware of. The typical frames by which we recognize those narcissistic attempts are whenever the person drifts the conversation within the frame, I am only doing that for you. Everything I do, it is only for you. Oh, I don't mind, I don't care about this, I push you. I know I'm hard on you, but I am pushing you because it is in your best interest. It's only for you. Complete bullshit, nobody is doing things only for you. Everyone is acting selfishly for themselves prior to anything else. I am doing this on YouTube because this is my job, because I earn money by doing this, because I can live my lifestyle with the money I make. And besides that, you are getting value out of this, which I think is a healthier way to make money. It is still not the first priority, it is first selfish. I am honest about this, I don't try to hide it in any way. People who are narcissists will always try to hide their real intentions, never say them out loud, and whenever you point it out, they will just evade it, they will become evasive, or even worse, they may push back by triggering something about you. Yeah, and what about when you fucked up at this, when you did that wrong? They will just try to trigger you to avoid answering the questions that would unveil the reality of their manipulative attempts. So it is a frame to stay aware of. Another big linguistic frame they try to maintain their victims into is you won't be able to succeed or survive or whatever without me. You need me. Whatever you do, you won't be enough without me. Whatever you do, it won't be successful if I am not there. When they try to narrow you down into only with me, nobody else, that's a very complicated situation too. And the last one is, I know you better than anybody else. I know you so well that anything else than me basically is just it's just negative because they don't know you like I know you. I know you will fail without me because I know you too well. Those kinds of frames are definitely highly manipulative. They are not bringing any value anyway, and you are not bound to stay with somebody who is trying to get you stuck in a frame like this. Linguistically, before trying to argue with them, because arguing with those people is very tricky. Anything you say, like in the court with the police, anything you say will be used against you. The best linguistic strategy with narcissists is very counterintuitive. It is to actually not use one. It is to speak as little as possible with them, to answer with as little words as possible. If they text you, you text with just 2 words. And when they try to pull out a more important answer, and when they try to trigger you, you just reply with yes, no, maybe, you're right, I'm wrong, no, yes. If you keep interacting only with short sentences like this, they will get mad, they will get crazy, and they will right off the bat want to find another victim they can trigger, because they can't stand to not trigger something, to not trigger attention, love, or whatever they want from you. They can't stand to not trigger that. So if you stop reacting, they will crave to find somebody else reacting to their power over other people. So before trying to use any linguistic strategy, it is first about elaborating on how did you meet that person initially? Were you, and that may be uncomfortable if right now you have somebody like this around you, I encourage you to sincerely, honestly consider those things. How did you meet that person? Were you in a positive emotional state when you felt like you needed that person? Were you at ease, at peace with yourself when you felt like you needed to see that person more often? And most of the time when you interact with that person you may have thoughts about because you think that might be a narcissist. Whenever you spend time with that person, do you feel better after having spent time with that person, or do you feel negative? Do you feel better or do you feel less good after spending time with that person? If you constantly, all the time, feel worse than before, just connect the dots. There might be your instincts, your unconscious mind telling you through the feelings, get the hell away from here, get the hell away. That might be the whispers in your head that you may block because you may have a low self-esteem and try to earn the validation of that person who needs you to validate them. So it's like a very codependent relationship, extremely toxic. And if it is stuck like this, then consider, okay, what are my thoughts about that when I feel well? When I am on the opposite with a great friend who has always supported me, or when I am with a family member who has always loved me, for example, on whom I don't have any doubt. When on the opposite with that person, how do I feel instead? And when I feel great, when I feel good, when I feel at ease with myself and with my life, what do I think about this person that I have doubts about? What do I think about it? If the answer is get the hell away from that person, then maybe it is time to seek for help, go through therapy maybe, and find a way to distance yourself from those narcissistic maneuvers to always try to get you stuck into the same frames and the same binds all the time. Whatever you say, they always put you down, they laugh at you, they treat you like a child, they make you appear like incompetent compared to them. Whatever you do, they always get the last word, they are always above you anyway. That is a huge sign, a huge alarm warning signal, and in the end, I guess everyone has like a spectrum of toxicity of narcissism in themselves, and we may drift more to one side or the other depending on how well we feel in our lives. And the only thing is, people may have narcissism inside them, doesn't mean all of them have to get away from your life. Some of them you may still keep them around you if it is relevant. You just measure what are the boundaries for you. What are the boundaries where you tolerate that a narcissistic person is around you, is in contact with you, and From which point do you see that as heavily toxic and you're like, no fucking way I talk to that person again. I don't want anything to do with that person. Where is the limit for you? I know my limits. I know some people can go up to that point with me, I tolerate. Past a certain point, I'm like, get away from here. I don't have anything to do with you anymore. Fine. Thank you. Goodbye. I have my boundaries, you have yours. Define them. How far do you allow people to go with you? And the last one, which is much more problematic and much more dangerous, the most dangerous of them all, is the cult indoctrination. When people are somebody, a cult leader or somebody belonging to the cult, a religious cult, financial cult, whatever, when somebody is really trying to suppress everything about your identity to make you fit the mold they want you to be in. One of the best sources we have to study the language patterns of people like that are the interviews of Charles Manson. If you are interested, I may make a breakdown about this. If you want, comment down below. That might be an interesting video to study how people like this did to control their victims and the people belonging to their cult. When you sense, whenever somebody, a cult leader or somebody of on that level of manipulation, whenever somebody is trying to make you doubt and confuse you about literally everything you believe in, more specifically, anything you believe in that contradict what they want you to believe. If they constantly try to confuse you by usually more elaborated tactics than the narcissist, because somebody who is just a narcissist will trigger you but may not be smart enough to use those confusion tactics and those gaslighting tactics. A cult leader or somebody really competent enough to handle a cult, that person is way more advanced on the linguistic strategies, on the manipulative sequences of choice of words. That person is way more advanced. They will do everything they can to confuse you, to induce confusion about what you thought you knew. And they will try by every means possible to separate you, to isolate you away from the people who love you, away from the people who can give you advice. They want to restrict your thinking and attention to only what they believe, what they want you to believe, and nothing else. They will keep narrowing down what you think, what you want to be, what you feel, what you think, what you want to believe, to what suits and satisfies their goal with you. So whatever they want to get from you, either they want to get your money, they may want to get sexual favors from you, they may want to get attention too. Sometimes it is just about power. Some people who are cult leaders just want more power, feel the power of their students around them. That might be anything. In any case, that person will most likely remain very calm, very seductive, and keep telling you things that make you doubt. They will almost never confront you unless you have been triggering them first, but they will almost never confront you. They will tell you things in a very calm way that confuse you about what you believed so far. So extremely dangerous, obviously. Luckily, people like that are not that common either. You have to have somebody who is evil and who has very advanced skills. Both those things happening at the same time are pretty scarce. Doesn't happen that often. It does exist though, so be careful about this, obviously. And the best defense I can find, because at this point we are not even in linguistics anymore, if you are in the victim position with somebody like this, we have already passed the linguistic defenses. At this point, it is about identifying your deepest vulnerabilities, your deepest trauma, all the things someone might use against you. Anything you are vulnerable about might cause you to feel less able to defend yourself when somebody is attempting to limit your thinking to only what they want you to believe. Technically, the easiest way to manipulate someone on that level is to use their emotional hotspots to trigger them emotionally repeatedly. And when they get out of control, when the victim gets triggered on that level, the manipulator will kind of explain that, you see, you have a problem, Johnny. And the only way you can solve that problem is by using what I preach. My religion, my method, what you have to pay for, that I sell, whatever it is. They will try to narrow down that the only solution to get out of your pain is what I preach for, my solution. And obviously to get their solution, you have to either pay money, a lot of money, you have to not see your loved ones anymore, or you have to provide sexual favors. That is what happened in the cults we have knowledge of. Maybe other cults we don't even know of exist today. And the ones we have been able to study, it is kind of always the same tactic. They hit on the emotional vulnerabilities you have, and they will tell you once you are really vulnerable, once you are really in pain, they will tell you that the only way to handle that pain and to heal, to recover, is by using what they provide. Only what they provide. Anything else cannot work, because it is only about what they have to offer you. Those are really dangerous and manipulative tactics. If you want to better defend yourself and see how language works from the inside, you have a small document down below in the description called The 7 Steps to Master Sleight of Mouth. It will be of great use if you have trouble to figure out how can your language help you to defend yourself against people like that, and if you want to become more persuasive too, because sometimes you may have great intentions and you just don't know how to communicate them. In that case, it will teach you how to do that down below, The 7 Steps to Master Sleight of Mouth. Thank you for listening, good luck, stay away from manipulators, and I will see you soon in the next video.